Can you still remember the name of the Pharaoh who became a bitter man? The second. Amenhotep. The second. Just to recap, we started with the Hyksos, Nupkeperi Inyotef 5, the Pharaoh from the time of Joseph. And then the Egyptians revolted against these foreign rulers, and Moses and Moses and Amenhotep I started the war, and eventually they ousted the Hyksos. And Thutmose I was the Pharaoh that started persecuting the Israelites, the Jews. A decree, all the babies, male babies, should die. And then Thutmose I, Thutmose II, Hatshepsut, Thutmose III, and then we have Thutmose IV, Amenhotep III, who started monotheism, and then Amenhotep IV, who changed his name from Amenhotep to Akhenaten. He built a capital and he called it Akhetaten. His children, Meketaten, Meritaten, Neferuaten, and Ankensenpaten, all ending on E-T-A-N, A-T-E-N, pointing to an invisible creator God. You see, you cannot define God and bring God, reduce him to an image. It's too big. And he's given us a mind to try and comprehend his greatness. Don't reduce him. J.B. Phillips wrote a book, Your God is Too Small, with a few blocks for kiddies on the front page. God is much bigger than you can think. And he's a kind, wonderful God. So this Pharaoh had to choose between two what? Bees. Better or bitter. And he chose to become bitter. How sad. Please choose to be better every time. His second oldest son, Thutmose IV, became the next Pharaoh. What happened to his oldest son? He died in the 10th plague. Let's see if the Sphinx could help us. What do we see between his paws? We went through this again. There's the writing. It says that one day the second oldest son of Pharaoh, Amenhotep II, returned from a hunting expedition. He fell asleep in the shade of the Sphinx. And then Harmakis, the god of Giza, spoke and made a promise. If you remove the sands from my feet, you'll be the next Pharaoh. Is this factual? What does the Bible say? The Bible says, the oldest son died in the 10th plague. So he had to explain why he became Pharaoh. At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, Amenhotep II, who sat on the throne, to the firstborn of the prisoner, who was in the dungeon, and the firstborn of the livestock as well. Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night, and there was a loud wailing. Can you imagine it in Egypt? For there was not a house without someone dead. You know, this must have been terrible. With every plague, God pled with them. Come and serve me. You have a choice. This is the last plague, you still have a choice. It's sad. Every choice has a consequence. The lie of the stele of Thutmose IV establishes the authenticity of the Bible, which says that the Pharaoh's oldest son died during the 10th plague. Just the other day I looked again at the stele. And the story came back to me. Here's another couple. Amenhotep III and his wife's name is Tai. He built his palace on the western side of the Nile, which was revolutionary because all the Egyptian pharaohs built their palaces on the eastern side. But today this is all that's left of his huge palace on the western side of the Nile. They're still digging up here, and every year I come here I see new excavations. So I'm watching this for new information. Biography, that's very interesting to read the biographies of these pharaohs. He started with Artanism. And when you see Artanism, it should take your mind to monotheism, one unseen God. Rejection of all the Egyptian gods, polytheism. There's only one God. He had a son whose initial name was Thutmose the fourth. Sorry, Amenhotep the fourth. I'm getting confused with all these pharaohs. Then it's Thutmose's and then it's Amenhotep's. And sometimes the brain is not fast enough to catch up. Anyway, his son rejected the title of Amenhotep IV. And he took a new name. And the new name was Akhenaten. So here we find in Egyptian history a shift from polytheism, worshipping many gods, to monotheism. And this was a religious revolution in Egypt. What is the meaning of Amenhotep because he rejected the name? It means that Amun, the main god in the pantheon of Egyptian gods, control his life. So the name had a theological implication and he rejected the name. But he rejected Egyptian theology and changed his name to Akhenaten, A-T-E-N. He became, I think, a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm not sure. He who serves Aten, the invisible creator God. This is what Akhenaten means. How did Egypt react to this new theology? How do we react today in this age when someone changes his religious beliefs, especially if it's from your faith? Man, you're mad at the person. We haven't changed, really. Did he stay in this polytheistic environment? Sometimes the Lord calls you away from it. I'll be doing a few lectures on Abram. God called him away from Ur, where they worship Ninarta, the moon god. He left the city life, and for the rest of his life he lived in tents, without a TV, without cell phones, a dishwasher, and a microwave oven in tents. Sometimes we've got to have hardships to get to heaven. He didn't stay in America. He went to Arabia, Saudi Arabia. So sometimes we've got to get away from an environment. If it drags you down, move away. Where did he go? I've been to his capital a few times. I've got great admiration for this man. He had the courage to change to what he knew what was right. This is modern Tel El Amarna. And if you're interested in art, you can study the Amarna art, which is very different to ordinary Egyptian art. The ancient name, Akhetaten from Akhenaten. So welcome to Tel El Amarna. Now he lived down at Luxor, biblical Thebes, and he went up to Akhetaten, modern Tel El Amarna. Have you heard about the lady who discovered the famous Amarna tablets? This is wonderful. She was looking for stuff to make a fire. And she came across these potsherds with strange writing on. And this was the greatest discovery, I think, in Egyptian history. Because all these clay tablets came from different states, from Syria, from Lebanon, all over the Levant, the Middle East. And it's interesting to look at the dates on these clay tablets. It speaks of the Habiru, who's conquering our land. Please come and help, is the cry of every tablet. And by reading these tablets, we've got a picture of what things looked like after the Exodus. And they discovered the name of the Hittites. Oh, the Lord is good. At the right time, this was discovered. How does the Amarna tablets help us to have a greater trust in the Bible? Facts that you read only in the Bible appears on these tablets. And this makes you exciting. It excites you. Why did Akhenaten ignore these requests for help against the invading Habiru? Well, he became a monotheist. This was the influence of Moses. Remember, after the 10 plagues, millions of Egyptians realized their gods are hopeless. And this huge pillar of fire by night and cloud by day, everybody talked about this. It went up for miles in the air to give light to 2 million people at night. It must have been a massive pillar. This is part of the site where he built his new capital called Akhe, and he called it Akhetaten. His name was Akhenaten. The horizon of Aten. Something new is born, a new theology, a pure theology. Why were they eventually killed? Now, when you read ancient history, when you change your religion, you are sure to die. Of course, all the wars of the world were fought because of religion. The first war in the Bible, Abel and Cain, this was a religious war. The last war will be a religious war. So, wars centers around religion. This is a picture of Akhenaten. A scholar by the name of Lionel Casson says he was the sole pharaoh in Egypt's history to boast the distinction of an intellectual. He was a Walter Fight, as if we can compare it. Brilliant. He had the right religion, the right correct theology. Only recently have archaeologists excavated the broken remains of this pharaoh because they destroyed everything about this man. And now when they're excavating, they pick up the rubbish and they restore his history. And that's interesting. This is Amarna art in Berlin. I like this picture. Taking hands. He took the hands of his family and of the Egyptian nation And he tried to reconcile people. Akhenaten had advanced ideas concerning the way women should be treated. Where did he get it from? It's an interesting question, because this was also revolutionary. You're looking at the sun, the disk, with its sunbeams, and every time it comes to the nose of a person, here of course they chiseled away Nefertiti's image, or his image, we don't know. It looks like his wife. Which says that life comes from God. You do not possess immortality, you get it from above. This too was revolutionary. Whenever you see the sun rays coming down to people, you should know this is Artenism. The Pharaoh is down here and God is up there. What exactly is Artenism? Joy Collier in a book says the sun is only the symbol of the blessings being poured out by the invisible Creator God. They did not worship the sun. It was only the symbol of a Creator. Look at the beams. Whenever it reaches the nose, the ankh, which means life, is there. You get life from above. Theology of the Bible. This mortal should be clothed with immortality. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 52. What do these sunbeams tell us? We are dependent upon God for life and for support. We cannot move without Him. What a message of total dependence on the Amarna art of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. How did the Pharaoh see life after death? This was also revolutionary, because he said there's a cosmic sleep when you die. This was shocking to the Egyptian world. Well, on which side of the Nile were the pharaohs buried? If you studied Egyptology, it's always on the western side. He's gone to the west. He died. He made his tomb on the eastern side of the Nile to say, I reject this theology. Because they, the other pharaohs, believed in the immortality of the soul. This policeman rejected when I took a picture, as you can see. But they have to escort you when you visit these exotic, strange, out-of-the-way places to protect you against terrorists. Can they show us the tombs? Yes, they did. And we traveled quite a far way to get to his tomb. But it was such an experience. The first time is always different. The second time you're looking for extra information. In the tomb I asked myself a question while I thought of this great man. Who taught him that a man sleeps when he dies? Who taught him that a man sleeps when he dies? How many books did Moses write in Sinai? 5 plus the book of Job. I think he got hold of the manuscript written by Moses. So what does Moses write about life after death? Job 14, 10 to 12. But man dies and is laid low. He breathes his last and is no more. As the water disappears from the sea, or a riverbed becomes parched and dry, so man lies down and does not rise. Till the heavens are no more, men will not awake or be roused from their sleep. Akhenaten got this information from Moses. And this is exciting. I'm convinced that Akhenaten read the book of Job. Haughty pharaohs believed they were immortal and therefore they were gods. When you look at the pictures, tomb pictures, Akhenaten was so different. He rejected the teaching about Osiris and Anubis. The world needs men and women who are willing to stand for truth, though the heavens fall. Did you hear about the hymn he wrote? When I discovered this, I was amazed. The Creator and His creation. He brings praise to the God who created everything. And 17 lines of this hymn of Akhenaten corresponds with 17 verses of Psalms 104. Praise the sovereign Lord for His creation and providence. Man, I was excited when I discovered this. 17 lines. It tells me that he's got his inspiration from the right source. He writes, this is Akhenaten, you created the earth as you wished, when you were by yourself, before mankind, all cattle and kine, all beings on land who fare upon their feet, and all the beings in the air who fly with their wings. Just like Psalms 104. What do you see? And what is the message? Nefertiti kisses mekitaten. Babies want to be touched. Old people too. There's a therapy in just a touch. And this is what he conveyed to the Egyptians. Touch your child. Hug your child. People need hugs. Dr. Pentu, the physician of Akhenaten, I went to his tomb, it's number 5, and the tomb invites you in. What do you see? Dr. Pentu shared the king's convictions. Life comes from above. The same theme, the sun with its sunbeams. The mural says, whatever you do, you need strength from above. This corresponds to what Jesus says. John 5:15. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. Life is a continual gift. Every breath is a miracle, but it comes from somewhere else. This was his message. And if we could learn to be more dependent upon God in everything we do. Dr. Pentu also depicted Pharaoh Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti praying to the unseen God. You are looking at the greatest religious revolution in Egyptian history. How would the rest of Egypt tolerate it? For many years, people speculated about his bisexual appearance. But the latest discovery says he represented man and woman in his art. He is the king not only for men but also for ladies. I like this. What a man. What a difference. Now this is something else. This is Ramses II, talking about his battle against Muvattalas at Kadesh, next to the Rontos in Syria, where he said he killed 7,500 Hittites. By the way, it was a lie. They only discovered it yesterday. Akhenaten says, Let the people see me and my wife and my children. Let them see that I'm dependent upon God. Ramses too is a god, and he conquers and he wins. Instead of displaying his military achievements, Akhenaten displayed something of much greater value. What does this picture tell you? A happy family life is one of the greatest achievements. The cruelest place is an unhappy home. We can be so cruel to one another. Akhenaten pleads with people who look at his art to be kind to one another. Put your child on your lap. Let your wife, if you've got another child, on her lap. And just talk to one another in a kind manner. And look at this one. Showing mommy, look at daddy there. What a message. You can study this. There's so much in this picture. The king kisses one of his daughters. Queen Nefertiti has two of them on her lap. Yeah, happy the home where Jesus reigns. Akhenaten invites us to come and enjoy one of the greatest blessings. Your loved ones. Treasure them. Appreciate them. Forgive them. Encourage them. Thankful hearts and kind looks are more valuable than wealth and luxury, and contentment with simple things will make home happy if love be there. Pleasant voices, gentle manners, and sincere affection that finds expression in all actions, together with industry, neatness, and economy, make even a hovel the happiest of homes. The Creator regards such a home with approbation. Message of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Appreciate your loved ones. This is the message of Akhenaten, Nefertiti. Meditaten, Mekitaten, Neferuaten and Ankensenpaten. Happy the home where Jesus lives. Father in heaven, help us to speak more kind words to our loved ones. Forgive us for speaking harsh words, and put heavenly love in our hearts and save our families. In Jesus' name, Amen.